These movies might shock you, to be honest. Every time I cry, it shocks me. It doesn't happen very often, and when it does, it's like waterworks. It's like a tidal wave's just hit, you know? When the tears come, even though it's irregular, they come. I don't necessarily cry at conventionally sad movies. I like to cry at movies that aren't intended to be sad. I cry in almost all movies that have an emotional score. Music is usually what gets me. Any movie with a really good or moving score, I'm crying. I'm crying all the time. So filmmakers, if you want to make an impactful emotional scene, think about the music first, I'd say. That's the most important thing. Otherwise, no, I will not cry during Marley and Me, and I didn't. I also didn't cry the first time I saw Star is Born. Didn't cry. Didn't cry when I saw The Notebook. I just thought they were sleeping at the end. I actually still don't cry at The Notebook. Nothing really to cry about. I find them quite annoying. Anyway, these are all the movies that do make me cry, and when I mean cry, I mean uncontrollable tears. Like, I'll think about it. Sometimes just watching a snippet from these movies, I'll start crying. So let's get into it. Make sure to comment what movies make you cry. Let's see if we share any. Probably not. I just want to preface that I'm not going to be talking as a whole about these movies. It's more so just talking about the specific key moments that make me cry and why they make me cry. So let's get into it. Okay, first up we have all of the Lord of the Rings. Every single one of them. I'll cry, especially when that score by Howard Shore starts swirling in. When I hear Concerning Hobbits, I start crying. When I hear Samwise Gamgee do anything or say anything, or just look at his face, I cry. Okay, so to start with the first movie, of course, I'm crying at the beginning. The hobbits are with Aragorn. They're on that hilltop place. The Witch King comes with that blade that's like poisoned. It's a special blade. Can't remember the name right now. Didn't do that research. But he stabs Frodo with it. It's one of those moments the hobbits are like, we'll defend ourselves. We'll protect Frodo. And then they just get shoved out the way because they're so small. And then Frodo, it's the first time he does that face where he gets stabbed and he's like, ah. I shouldn't have done that on camera, to be honest. But he does that same face every time he gets stabbed, and it's the same reaction. It's crazy. Anyway, it's not Frodo getting stabbed that upsets me. Of course not. Frodo never upsets me in these movies, because Frodo annoys me the most. He's actually my least favorite character. What upsets me is when Arwen, played by Liv Tyler, the best character, comes, gets him, rides with him, and then she's like, if you want him, come and claim him. And then he starts going again because he's like hurting, I guess, and being poisoned and just slowly dying. And then she's like, no, Frodo, don't give up, don't give in. And then she cries on him, and then they takes him to Rivendell. God, I couldn't get that out. She takes him to Rivendell, everything's fine. But her crying and her just saying, don't give up, and then her, like, the music swirling in while this is happening. I shed many tears. It's horrible, sad. Oh, yes, and of course, in Lord of the Rings, The Fellowship of the Ring, when Gandalf falls. But it's not even just him falling that makes me cry. It's the slow-mo. It's the slow-mo reaction shots of the little hobbits, and they're screaming and they're crying, and then it's Boromir saying, give them a minute, for pity's sake. When he says that, because Aragorn's like, we need to move on, let's go. And that's when we start to like Boromir again, because obviously he's tried to take the ring. But then later on, Boromir dies. And when he dies, that is very sad. He's like, they took the little ones. It's because he cares so much for the hobbits, that just gets me. He has a good redemption story, Boromir. Anyway, Fellowship of the Ring, many sad moments. I sob many times. I'm just crying all the way through. Second movie, The Two Towers, I cry less. Still many impactful moments. The battle at Helm's Deep, great moment. Not too much makes me cry. Return of the King, though, many moments. The moment when Aragorn returns to battle and he's brought all the dead with him and they just storm forward, I sob. The moment when Aragorn, a lot of it's Aragorn, to be honest, when he's like, they're surrounded while Frodo and Sam are trying to destroy the ring and they're distracting the eye. And then Aragorn turns to everyone and says, for Frodo. And then they storm forward, even though they are outnumbered and they need Frodo to destroy the ring, otherwise they all die. Anyway, Frodo does it, but obviously with the help of Sam. And thank God for Gollum, who was so obsessed with the ring, because if Gollum hadn't have been so obsessed with the ring, Frodo would have just left. But thank God for Gollum biting off his finger. And then obviously when they leave at the end to sail west, I do cry. Anyway, Lord of the Rings, Howard Shore, the music, incredible. Sob like a baby. Okay, next up we have Armageddon. People may laugh because, you know, Armageddon, Pearl Harbor, those movies. Who directed these movies? That guy. What's his name? Armageddon, directed by Michael Bay, makes me sob. Stars Bruce Willis, stars Ben Affleck, Dunkin' Donuts, Ben Affleck. Who else? There's that guy, the guy that I always talk about that's in things. He's in Silo. I've forgotten his name. I was just talking about him not long ago. He was in Silo and he's in Remember the Titans, which might be on our list. This movie is incredibly emotional and it's thanks to the score as well. Trevor Rabin. Amazing. Amazing. I didn't realize how much he had done until I was like researching the movies that made me cry and I'm like, I'm starting to see your name more and more. Armageddon, of course. The plot is wild. Didn't make a lot of sense, but anyway, we're not going to question it. The movie makes me cry. I think it's excellent. A group of drillers, they work on an oil rig. Essentially, the world's ending. There's a giant asteroid. It's going to hit Earth. Everyone's going to die. Only these oil rig workers can save the day because they're the best drillers in the world. So they must go to space and drill into this asteroid, plant a bomb. It will explode, and then the two halves will miss Earth. Amazing. The plot, chef's kiss. Liv Tyler's in this too. Oh my God, there's a trend here. If Liv Tyler's in a movie, I'm gonna cry. So, Bruce Willis, he's the leader of the oil rig. He's the boss. He's the man in charge. Ben Affleck, very young guy, hotshot, big-headed, big ego, thinks he's amazing. Obviously, he's not. And then he's sleeping with Liv Tyler, who is Bruce Willis's daughter. This is great. Great plot points. And then they have to go to space. Obviously, Liv Tyler has to stay behind. Bruce Willis goes to space with his team, brings Ben Affleck. They have two different teams. And then they have to drill this hole. But I am crying from the beginning of this movie. To be honest, it takes a while to get into space. But the moment they are both on, when they are on the ships, and they're taking off and that music swirls in, I'm crying. I feel the emotion. Sometimes it doesn't even have to be sad. I'm just crying because I feel something. I think that's what it is. Movies that make me feel something make me cry because I'm not used to feeling anything. I'm used to feeling quite numb. And there's also a great moment where one of the guys, the guy from Silo, I wish I could remember his name. I'm so sorry. He got divorced from his wife. He had a kid, but the wife doesn't want anything to do with him. She calls him a salesman. And then the minute she sees him on TV getting on the spaceship, she turns to the boy because he's like, there's that salesman. And she's like, that's not a salesman. That's your daddy. I shouldn't have said daddy. That's your dad. That got me. I'm like, oh, so emotional. Anyway, the movie, of course, takes a quite quick downward trajectory in the feeling department because obviously it doesn't go well. You know, someone's got to die. Who's going to die? That's the question. Things go haywire. They no longer can detonate the bomb remotely to destroy the asteroid, so someone has to stay behind. And Ben Affleck is the one that's going to do it. So he goes down in the lift with Bruce Willis to do it, and then Bruce Willis shoves him in the lift, rips off his oxygen, closes the door and says, you take care of Grace now. Grace is Liv Tyler. You take care of her. Oh my God, I could cry just thinking about this. And then, oh my God, why am I feeling so much? Oh my God, I think I'm just emotional. Holy He says, you take care of Grace now. And then Ben Affleck's just sobbing. He's pounding. He's like, no, no. What's the guy's name? Oh, I wish I could remember the dad's name. It's like such... I can't remember the dad's name. But anyway, he's pounding. He's like, no, 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 I love you. I love you. Oh, it's so sad. And then he dies. You know what? The movie, it does ruin it when he's died. And then Liv Tyler, there's just like a weird cut between like Bruce Willis and Liv Tyler just in this position. And then like, it doesn't make any sense, honestly. It's a bit cringy at the end. I mean, the whole movie is very cheesy, but the music, excellent. I'm taking a lot of time with this description. Next up, we have Avengers Infinity War and Avengers Endgame. Look, I love Marvel. I love Marvel so much. I want to make a whole video about how much I love Marvel and all my favorite movies, maybe ranking them. Oh my God, I should rank them. I should do that next. Maybe I will. But Avengers Infinity War and Avengers Endgame are two of the best in the series. I mean, along with like Winter Soldier, Thor Ragnarok. Civil War is pretty good too. Oh my God, so many good ones. But Infinity War, honestly, it's because everyone's in this movies, both of these movies, everyone's in it, so it's more impactful. When they get dusted at the end, I sob at all of them. It's so emotional, specifically, obviously, when Spider-Man, Peter Parker, Tom Holland, gets dusted away. It's because he senses it. Spidey senses were tingling. He was on a different planet. He was with Tony Stark. Tony Stark is obviously his mentor, so he loves him a lot. And then Tony's seeing everyone get dusted. They don't know what's going on, but all they know is Thanos did win because he snapped his fingers. Thanos snapped his fingers. Everyone's dusting away because what he wanted was the Earth to be balanced. Remove 50% of the population. So 50% going. One of them's Peter Parker. And then he's like, Mr. Stark, I don't want to go. Help. Oh, I don't want to go. Every time he says that, he's just lying down, and then he's just gets dusted away, and Tony's so upset. It's honestly so sad. That part, just in particular. And then Avengers Endgame. Obviously, everyone would say Tony Stark, Iron Man dying, but for me, it was Natasha. It was Black Widow. That killed me, because honestly, I still hold true that it should have been Hawkeye. Come on. I love Black Widow. I think she was one of the best characters, and I'm so sad that she is no longer here. And then at least we did get her solo movie, and it introduced us to Yelena, and then Florence Pugh is now going to be a crucial part of the story. Excellent. And her death now drives forward Yelena. And then we did get that epic crossover in the Hawkeye TV show, and Yelena coming and then trying to get Clint. But anyway, I digress. Black Widow dying, truly devastating. I would have pushed Hawkeye off the cliff. And then, of course, Tony Stark. Because again, Peter Parker is like, Mr. Stark, we won. And then he's just dying, and it's so sad. Oh, it is truly quite upsetting. And then he leaves behind that video, and then he's like, I love you 3000. Oh, I can't. Okay, Avengers. All of Marvel. And the score is done by Alan Silvestri. For those of you who don't know, he also did Forrest Gump, amazing score, and also Practical Magic. Practical Magic is actually one of my favorite films of all time. Makes me cry too. Next, we have Legends of the Fall. Maybe one of the most emotionally damaging movies I've ever watched in my whole entire life. I remember exactly where I was when I watched it. I was living in Alaska. We had just moved there, me and my parents. I found the score first because I used to make my mum CDs, and I'd put movie scores on them. And I had never seen this movie, but I heard the movie score, and I was like, this is one of the best scores of all time. It's The Ludlows by James. Oh my God, I just hit that. It's The Ludlows by James Horner. That song, oh my God, it's a masterpiece. Amazing. Go listen to it immediately. I can't play it here, but go listen to it. Okay, so the film stars, obviously, Anthony Hopkins, Brad Pitt, Aidan Quinn, and Henry Thomas. Henry Thomas, you would know from Haunting of Hill House and E.T. He played Elliot. But yeah, the film follows the three brothers. The youngest is played by Henry Thomas, and he is he meets a girl. He falls in love, but all the brothers fall in love with her, which is quite problematic. They all then do have to go off to war because Henry Thomas wants to go off to war, so the brothers go with him to protect him because they all love each other so much and they want to look out for each other. And then while in battle, the youngest brother dies, and it's actually devastating because he gets caught in barbed wire, and then he's blinded by tear gas and mustard gas, and then Brad Pitt's just running towards him trying to save him, and he's screaming and crying. Oh my God, it's actually devastating. Next up, I think it's Aidan Quinn, who falls in love with the sister, who falls in love with the girl next. It's one of the brothers. Every brother dates this woman, but she's the curse, to be honest. They all go through hardships. Brad Pitt loses his goddamn mind, runs away. Aidan Quinn marries the woman. He gets into some issues. She ends up passing away. The father has a stroke. And then, yeah, I don't know. There's a lot going on. There's a lot of moments where it's like everyone just keeps dying. Oh, yeah, Brad Pitt falls in love with a new woman. They're very happy. I think they have some kids. And then someone shoots her. Oh, my God. It's just so sad. The whole movie, it's just like you become attached to each character and then someone kills them. Just don't. It's for the best that you go into it and just not like anyone if you don't want to cry. But it is emotionally devastating. And the James Horner score is just the icing on the cake. It's so much. It's almost too much. Okay, Titanic. I don't necessarily cry at the moments you'd think I'd cry at. I don't really care when Jack dies. I don't feel anything towards Jack. I find him quite annoying, actually. He kind of gets in the way a lot. I mean, he saves Rose at the beginning. That's great. But I just don't believe that you can fall in love that fast, you know? But clearly that's me. I'm a bit cold and soulless, so that's fine. The part that makes me cry is obviously the Titanic is now sinking. The boats are going down. And Rose gets on a boat. And we know Jack is going to die because there isn't going to be no boat for him because he's with Cal. Cal's a Anyway, they're lowering the boat like this. They're lowering the boat. And then Rose is just looking up. The music swells in. James Horner again. Did Legends of the Fall. James Horner, he'll make me cry every time. It's going down. The music swells in. Do 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 do. I can't sing. And then Rose jumps out the boat. She jumps out the boat because she's looking at him. She realizes she loves him so much and can't leave him. She jumps out the boat and then she runs to him and then he runs to her. He grabs her and he's like, "You're so stupid, Rose. Why'd you do that? Why'd you do that? You're so stupid." And then she's like, "If you jump, I jump, right? If I jump, you jump." Yeah. If you jump, I jump. And that's what he said to her at the beginning. Anyway, they're both stupid, to be honest. But she still survives. Good for her. Next, we have Moulin Rouge. Moulin Rouge is actually my favorite movie of all time. I want to get into this more another time because I do want to do a list, or I do want to do a video where I just talk about my favorite movies. But Moulin Rouge, it follows Satine, it follows Christian. Christian's a writer, he moves to Paris. Satine is a courtesan, and she is the star of the show at the Moulin Rouge. But obviously a courtesan, she must sell herself for love. She sells herself. She sells herself. I can't even speak. But anyway. She does not have autonomy over her body, that's for sure. And then Christian meets her, disguised as a duke, they fall in love. But Satine is sick, and we know this, but no one really prioritizes her sickness in any way because, you know, they don't have a lot of money, they don't have the best doctor, and no one really cares about her except for Harold Siegler, who runs the Moulin Rouge. But again, it's like they just need Satine to make the money, and she's supposed to marry a duke who will hold the deeds to the Moulin Rouge and give them money, essentially. It's all a ploy. But anyway, Satine's very sick. She falls in love with Christian. They're trying to be together. They've got to be very sneaky and secretive about the whole thing. There's so much turmoil, so much happens in this movie, but the part that is truly devastating is when they do the final show. Christian comes, they sing their song to each other, come what may. They fall in love. The baddie is defeated, the Duke. But then the curtain falls and they're smiling, walking away. Everyone's happy, but then Satine starts coughing and she dies. She dies in Christian's arms. She's like, "Tell our story, Christian." And he's just sobbing. He's sobbing and she's just dying. It's so sad. I can't. It's my favorite movie. And finally, we have The Boy in the Striped Pajamas. There's no question why this movie is so upsetting. The plot is centered around the war, and it's obviously Germany and the Jewish population. So you can fill in the gaps. Stars Vera Farmiga and that boy from Sex Education. What's his name? I don't know. But he's very young in this. Anyway, his father is, I guess, in charge of one of the concentration camps. I want to say that's what he does. He's some kind of captain. I think they're German. That's what it is. But anyway, his house is right in front of one of the concentration camps. The boy is so young, he doesn't really know anything that's going on. He doesn't understand it. He ventures back there one day. Bruno makes friends with the boy in a concentration camp. And then one day they decide to try and sneak Bruno in there. So he does go in there. And that day, Bruno and the boy he befriends end up in the chamber, the gas chamber. They go to the showers and you can understand what happens next. And it is honestly, truly emotionally gut-wrenching and horrible hearing the screams of Vera Farmiga knowing her son is gone. This film is a very important film to watch, and it just tells a very important story through the eyes of a child, which makes it even more devastating. So if you haven't seen this film, obviously me talking about it right now is not doing it justice. I'm just trying to tell you some of the key moments that made me cry. Obviously the whole thing is very devastating. So definitely watch it. Great film. Let me know if you agree with the movies. The movies that make me cry are, like, some of them are more mainstream, normal tears, you know? Others might not make you cry. I mean, Avengers, does that make all of you cry or just me? It's probably just me. But let me know in the comments if these films make you cry and what's the saddest film you've seen. I want to watch it. I will see you in the next video. Hold on. Night Riders. Oh, that's a movie. The Nazgul. Wait, is that them? Hold on. The Lord of the Rings. Fellowship of the Ring. Frodo stabbed. I hate that I have to search that. Okay. King. The Witch King. Yeah, the Witch King. Okay, cool. All right. Let me fix that.